You are almost met with sexual harassment day one.
Meet Suzette Wright. 20 years ago, she started working at a Ford plant in Chicago, a dream job for a 27-year-old single parent of two. Or so she thought, until she walked through the doors.
The men will warn you, don't say anything, in a very forceful and intimidating way. And the women will also warn you, don't say anything, in a very fearful and intimidated way.
Suzette endured harassment for years before joining over a dozen of her female coworkers in a sexual harassment lawsuit against Ford Motor Company in 1999. At the time, Suzette's fight was relatively isolated. Now, women are mobilizing in powerful networks to take action against workplace sexual harassment.
Allegations by numerous women who say the Hollywood mogul sexually harassed them.
Charlie Rose off the air.
Matt Lauer has been
Bill
terminated
O'Reilly
from it.
was fired today by the network.
The MeToo movement put a much-needed spotlight on sexual misconduct in the workplace. But the focus has been primarily on exposing powerful figures. So what about spaces outside of Hollywood and the media? How can workplace culture foster misconduct?
There's been a lot of bad actors that have been fired, but we always say here at Futures Without Violence, it's not about bad actors, it's about the whole darn movie. So we have to look at what makes sexual harassment flourish in an office.
According to Stanford University, by age 26, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men experience sexual harassment at work, all of which leads to lower productivity, sinking morale, and higher turnover. And studies across nearly every industry have shown that marginalized groups tend to be even more vulnerable to harassment in the workplace.
Harassment at work isn't just about harassment, it's about a larger set of power dynamics. When we are focusing on issues like women's representation and leadership, when we're focusing on issues like equal pay across race and gender categories, that all of these questions go to vulnerability to harassment in the workplace.
To help employees make their workplace culture better, the nonprofit Futures Without Violence devised a toolkit.
We have to change the culture. We're launching Check Your Workplace.
The basic idea is that a group of workers get together to assess how their office could be improved, what they're calling a culture walk.
It's a time and a space and an opportunity to reflect on where are the gaps in equity, where are the gaps in safety, where are the gaps in respect and dignity, and then how do we work together to change that.
Futures crafted a checklist to help workers identify these cultural signs. Armed with the checklist, workers will assess the visible indicators. Are there common areas for employees to meet? Are the most desirable spaces only for management? And the invisible indicators. Does the leadership reflect the demographics of the workforce? Is bias driving disparity in pay, promotion, or access?
It's like forming a union without actually forming a union, getting employees together and engaged about this topic, and how do we work together to make change.
The questions get to the heart of what drives sexual harassment in the workplace: unequal access to opportunity, respect, and safety.
You're pretty well aware that the policy that's on the pages of their work manual mean absolutely nothing, and the culture that is in and around the plant on a daily basis is what's actually running the plant.
After Suzette filed her class action suit, she was fired from the Ford plant. Eventually, Ford settled for $22 million, paying $9 million in damages to nearly 200 women and promising to make changes at the plant. But Ford wasn't able to make lasting change. In 2017, the company reached another multi-million-dollar settlement over rampant sexual harassment.
When one woman uses her voice to speak her truth, the truth of sexual harassment, oppression, it empowers other women to speak their truths.
Suzette went on to become an activist, fighting for safe workplaces for everyone. She's also found her own way to inspire culture change on an individual basis.
What I do now is I drive for Lyft. So one of the most incredible things that happens in my car is like these middle of the road white guys get in my car and want to have these kinds of conversations, not even knowing my background.
It's been over 2 decades since Suzette left Ford Motor Company behind. And while reliving her past trauma is painful, she knows the value of raising awareness of her experience.
I share my story. I look for them to be empathetic, and I hopefully am invoking just a change in them that will ripple out into the world. And I think that's happening.